the world's largest ever peanut allergy trials is taking place here in the UK at an NHS hospital. It's hoped the treatments, which is being hailed as groundbreaking, will help millions of sufferers who live in fear from the potentially fatal allergy. In the UK, peanut allergies have doubled in the last 2 decades, with 1 in 50 children now affected. Well, the condition also affects adults. 1 in 100 adults suffer from peanut allergies, and around 10 people die of food-induced anaphylactic shock every year. Well, we're now joined by 12-year-old James Redman, who suffered a severe allergic reaction to peanuts at the age of 3 and has since lived in constant fear that another one could be fatal. And James joins us now alongside his mum, Zoe. Good morning to both of you. And also joining us, paediatric allergy consultant, Professor George du Toit, who led the trial. Well, before we speak to them about some of the successes of the trial, I have to say, a reminder, do not try what you're about to hear at home, as this treatment does require strict medical supervision. It's really important to remember that first off. Let's speak to James and Zoe first. Good morning to you. Now, Zoe, I mean, this must have just been such a huge thing to happen to you. It was 3, wasn't it, James, was when you realised that he had this allergy. What happened?
Good morning, Kate. Yes, James was just a little boy, and we had no prior knowledge or experience of this when he had severe difficulty breathing, and an allergic reaction which happened within a few seconds, and he was rushed to A&E.
And it must be a really worrying time for you then, having to live with the fact that if he comes into contact with any kind of peanut, that could produce a severe fatal reaction in him.
Yes, it's a burden we've had to learn to live with. We're always on our guard, checking labels, thinking about whether he's got his EpiPens with him.
So
Yes.
You'd obviously been looking for ways to be able to overcome this, to try to help reduce the severity of his reaction. What did you think when you heard about what was happening with this trial? You were keen to take part to see if it would make a difference for James.
Oh, we were delighted to be involved. Anything you can do to help your child. For James, this is a life-threatening allergy. So if we can reduce that risk for James and help bring this treatment to make it available in the NHS, then it's only a good thing.
And James, let's speak to you, because I guess, you know, for several years now, you've lived with this, not being able to eat things with peanuts in, being worried, I guess, that something might have peanuts in. So how much of a difference has this made for you?
Taking part in the study was like winning the lottery, and being in it is like a lot of weight taken off my shoulders. When I was younger, it was like I had all this weight compressing me down, and as I joined the study, it was like the weight being lifted off me. It's really, it's the best opportunity of my life. I love it.
Well, that's brilliant to hear. Because was it stressful for you as well? Because I imagine your mum would have talked to you about it. You knew what to steer clear of, but it's still a worry if an ingredient's not listed or you happen to come into contact with peanuts. You're worried about what might happen.
Yeah, going to like restaurants and places like that is like the worst, because you don't exactly know what's going to be in it. So I have to be super careful.
It's not an option at the moment. We don't very often eat out. James has never had a takeaway to this day, as it stands.
So actually, it's been really restrictive so far for you. And let's speak to Professor George du Toit now, just to find out a bit more about what this involves. Good morning to you. Thanks very much for joining us. I mean, there'll be so many parents up and down the country who are living with this, living in fear every day that their child could have a severe allergic reaction because of peanuts. So it's something that's going to mean a lot to them. Tell us more about this trial and how it works.
So this trial was a pan-European trial across many centres, and we were very happy to participate in this trial. We're very grateful to patients like James and James's family and Zoe who partook in this. So we put nearly 200 children together in this trial called the Artemis trial, which is now published. And this adds to a large body of evidence that shows that this works, that you can take children who are peanut allergic and react to a very small amount, around 10 milligrams, which is a tiny fragment of peanut on average at the beginning of the trial. And after just some months of therapy, you can take their reactive threshold way up to 1,000 milligrams, so many-fold higher. And this provides you with some bite-proof protection. So it's not a cure, but it does allow for the accidental consumption of peanut without inducing a severe reaction. And we've shown that that improves significantly the quality of life of families, which, as you just heard, live in fear of these accidental reactions. So you still need to be cautious once you're on these treatment programs. But at least you have this additional safety belt in event of an accidental exposure and reaction.
So this is a trial at the moment. Could we see it rolled out on the NHS? When might it become more widely available?
So the product based on the Palisade trial, which we partook in, has been licensed for use in America. And we know that based on this trial, we also have submitted license for use within Europe. So there are regulatory hurdles to overcome, but we're optimistic within the next year or two, and this is very exciting news, for the first time we'll have a licensed, extremely well-studied product available, at least for the moderation of peanut allergy. And as you said in your intro, there's some 1 in 50 kids living with this. So it is not a rare disease.
So it'll make a real difference to them. And we must just reiterate, we're running out of time, but it's really important people don't try this at home. It has to be done in a supervised way, doesn't it?
Correct. You don't want to be shaving off pieces of peanut at the very low doses, 1, 6, 30 milligrams of peanut. It is very hard to control this. We now have a product, you know what's in it. If you stay on the same dose, you know that each day you'll be getting the same dose. And we've determined regimens, 2-week increments that can safely get you up to a maintenance dose.
Well, that's really good to hear anyway, that it's going to make such great progress and make a huge difference to people's lives like James. Professor George du Toit, James and Zoe, thanks very much for joining us this morning.